Protests continue across West Michigan. Why people in Kalamazoo say they're making sure their voices are heard. Bars and restaurants are getting ready to reopen across Michigan. What changes you can expect before you head out to your favorite joint. Plus, 2 gyms open despite the governor's stay-home order. Why the owner says it's worth the fines.
Live, local, breaking news. You're watching News Channel 3, live at 6:30.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
For more than a week now, people have been protesting the death of George Floyd, reigniting a Black Lives Matter movement. Good evening, I'm Callie Rainey. Right now, hundreds of people are at Bronson Park calling for an end to social injustice. Right now, Cicero Marquez with the Kalamazoo Protest Updates Facebook group is joining us live. Cicero, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad to be here talking to you guys.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit right now about this message that you are spreading, that you are hoping people take away right now from these demonstrations.
Well, right now from this demonstration, we want to show that we are being peaceful, yes, but we also want to be heard. We're here for change, and we're coming about it a whole different way. Before, we've been talking about this for years and years and years, 400 years, but now we're finally coming together and finally being organized, and we're ready to be heard, and we're hungry for change, and that's what we're all out here for.
That's great. And so, you know, you all have been demonstrating for more than a week now, and how long do you continue to keep doing this?
We're going to keep continuing to do this until we see this system that keeps holding us down and oppressing us broken. We're going to keep doing this. This isn't just a 1 week, 1 month, it doesn't matter how long we're out here. We're going to keep doing this and keep taking the steps to see change in our communities and change across our entire nation. And it just starts with people like us doing things like this.
Yeah. And Cicero, what are some of the things that you are wanting to see change?
Some of the things we want to see change is just everything, things from just everyday things down to up to big things like our police killings and the brutality, down to the way they train the police and the way they treat us in our daily lives and the way our communities are still suffering and how we are still silenced, and no matter what, we still persevere and we're going through this. We want to see everybody that is in a position of power that is perpetuating this cycle of keeping us oppressed and keeping us down, or anybody who is complicit, silent, and okay with keeping us down and black people being killed and all of these things happening to us. We want to see all of that taken down. We want to see people in positions of power doing the right things, making the right choices. We want to see everything about this change.
All right, and one more question for you. How important is it to you that these demonstrations remain peaceful?
It's very important to me that for right now that our protest remains peaceful, because if we don't remain peaceful, we'll just perpetuate the stereotype of us being ignorant and that we don't know nothing better than violence. But we're showing y'all that we're organized and we're here to stay and we're gonna be heard. No matter what, we won't be pushed out this time, and we're not gonna stoop to the level of violence just to be heard. But we're organizing, we're coming about this the right way, so we're ready to be heard, ready for change, and that's just what we're out here for. And we'll do it for however long it takes till we see it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cicero, for joining us, and I'm sure we will have some more live video out there, and stay safe.
Of course, yes, you stay safe as well, you guys. Thank you for having me up here and talking to you guys today.
All right. Well, people are not just demonstrating in West Michigan. It was another day of mostly peaceful protests across the nation. Tom Hansen has a story from New York where the curfew has now been lifted.
Demonstrators in Buffalo paused for a moment of silence as they gathered to protest the death of George Floyd in the custody of the Minneapolis police. There were also large crowds in Savannah, Georgia, Denver, and Chicago, all calling for racial justice and police reforms.
Hands up!
In New York City, after several days of mostly peaceful protests, the mayor ended the 8 p.m. curfew.
And honestly, I hope it's the last time we will ever need a curfew in New York City.
Here in Times Square, demonstrators gathered Sunday calling for ways to hold the police more accountable for their actions.
We have had enough! We have had enough!
In Washington, D.C., President Trump tweeted he's pulling back the National Guard, but he promised to bring them back quickly if needed. Earlier on Sunday, Representative John Lewis visited a street mural near Lafayette Park. The civil rights leader says he's been moved by the protests he's seen.
A send a mighty, powerful, and strong message.
Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer who held Floyd on the ground with his knee, makes his first court appearance Monday. He's charged with second-degree murder. In Houston, where Floyd grew up, a public viewing is scheduled for tomorrow with a private burial on Tuesday. Tom Hansen, CBS News, New York.
The Kalamazoo County Sheriff says law enforcement needs to review its training standards. Sheriff Richard Fuller says this is long overdue. He says officers need de-escalation and implicit bias training. The Michigan Sheriff's Association is calling on the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards. It's to review its requirements when it comes to recruiting, hiring, training, and retaining officers. The association says it encourages law enforcement to step in when fellow officers are breaking the law, calling for swift accountability for officers in the wrong, including prosecuting those who abuse their power. Sheriff Fuller says, quote, "I'm proud of the support we've been able to show in getting the necessary training for our women and men in law enforcement." The association is asking the state for funding to make this training happen. And the CDC says it's closely monitoring demonstrations happening across America. The comments come after concerns protests could spur more COVID-19 outbreaks. A CDC spokesperson says protests make it difficult to maintain social distancing guidelines, and it may put others at risk. It also says it has concerns about tear gas. Chemical agents like tear gas cause people to cough, which can increase transmission of the virus. Health officials are recommending anyone who participated in protests to get tested. A tropical storm is heading towards the U.S. and it has made a landfall. Tropical storm Cristobal has sustained winds of 50 miles per hour and is expected to hit landfall late tonight. And you can see flooding already impacting areas just east of New Orleans. Tropical storm warnings are up for other states too. That includes Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of the Florida Panhandle. Some areas along the Gulf could see 4 to 6, even up to 10 inches of rain. We have an update from Louisiana in just a few minutes. But first, here's a live look now over downtown Kalamazoo through our Peregrine Tower camera. Meteorologist Will Haney is joining us now live from his living room. And Will, you say that we can see some of those effects here in West Michigan from that tropical storm.
Yeah, Callie, not quite yet, but we will later this week. It's going to come in 3 parts: heat, humidity, a chance of storms by late Tuesday night, and then also wind taking over Tuesday into Wednesday. Let's look at visible satellite. Quiet overhead for us, but as we look off in the southern United States, you can see that counterclockwise spin of clouds. That is what is Tropical Storm Cristobal. And you can see right now, there's the tropical storm warnings. We're seeing things like some pretty intense storm surge, some flash flooding in portions of southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama. You can see those intense rain bands working their way onshore. But right now, no significant severe weather to report like tornadoes or anything like that, at least to my knowledge, that we're seeing currently. But this did make its way onshore here within the last hour, has a central pressure of about 992, max winds around 50 miles per hour, but that is again a lesser concern compared to things like storm surge and flash flooding. The storm will continue a northwestward track for at least another day or so before turning north and easterly later in the week. We'll talk more about that in your full forecast, but right now it is a gorgeous evening. 73 in South Haven, upper 70s farther inland, and you can see temps right now 79 in Kalamazoo and Three Rivers. Again, clouds and radar pretty quiet overhead. It's all thanks to an area of high pressure that has built in across the region. As we look throughout the rest of your evening, staying sunny. The sun goes down right around 9:15 to 9:20, and then we're again cool and comfortable late tonight. We're talking all of those impacts. I'll detail and break it all down, Callie, in just a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Will. Well, West Michigan bars are finally preparing to reopen their doors for dine-in service after months of being closed. Some are even planning to open at midnight tonight. News Channel 3's Genevieve Grippo joins us now live in downtown Kalamazoo. Genevieve, there are restrictions staff and customers have to follow if they plan to hit the town tonight.
Yeah, Callie, some the state's restrictions, or rather the state's announcement that some restaurants could reopen June 8th came only a week ago, meaning that for many they won't be quite ready to reopen their doors just yet, but others will be back to selling drinks within a matter of hours tonight. Bars and restaurants, of course, will have some more regulations to abide by. That includes only allowing 50% capacity inside their buildings. They'll also have to keep groups at least 6 feet apart from one another, follow strict disinfecting rules, provide COVID-19 training to workers, and provide them with PPE. The state says people will have to wear face masks while inside public places. The Green Top Tavern, the Old Goat Tavern, and the library are among the bars reopening here in Kalamazoo at midnight, or 12:01 rather, on Monday morning. But many other bars and restaurants say it's going to take time for them to prepare for customers under these new restrictions. Most are planning to reopen within the next couple of weeks. So tonight at 10 and 11 o'clock, we're going to be talking with some of those bar owners about exactly what they'll be doing to keep you and to keep their staff safe. And if you know of any other bars that are opening tonight at midnight, go ahead and send the station a Facebook message. Reporting live in downtown Kalamazoo, Genevieve Grippo, News Channel 3.
All right, thanks, Genevieve. Well, 2 West Michigan gyms are open despite the governor's order to stay closed. It's the Fit Stop 24s located in Niles and Dowagiac. Gary Marshall owns both gyms. He says he's being fined $250 a day for defying the governor's order. Marshall says it's worth it for the mental health of his customers.
I was getting a lot of messages and feedback from people who use the gym as an outlet for their PTSD. Some were struggling with depression. So I just took it upon myself to kind of take care of my community, and I decided to open my doors.
Marshall says he understands it's important to prevent the spread of COVID-19 for his customers, their families, and himself. Tonight at 10 on CW7 and at 11 on News Channel 3, he explains the safety measures he's already implementing at the gym. 2 new COVID-19 related deaths are being reported in the last day in Michigan. Here's a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers from the state's website. The death toll is now at 5,656. Michigan is also reporting 121 new confirmed cases. This brings the total number of confirmed cases up to 58,870 in Michigan. So far, more than 42,000 people have recovered. All right, let's break those numbers down here in West Michigan. You can see Kent County continues to have the highest number of reported cases in the area, with more than 3,900 people testing positive. Kalamazoo County has 874 cases. Calhoun County is reporting 411 cases of COVID-19. A tropical storm makes landfall in the United States. How people in New Orleans are preparing for Tropical Storm Cristobal.
It's the day you dream of.
People living on the Gulf Coast are now experiencing Tropical Storm Cristobal. You're looking at video of the surf in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana before it made landfall. And here's a live look at the National Hurricane Center's radar map. The tropical storm just made landfall in Louisiana. Corus Nylander is with our Sinclair sister station in Pensacola, Florida. He's in New Orleans to show us how people prepared for the storm.
We're right here in the Lakeview area along Lake Pontchartrain, and you can see some moderate flooding here, some cars stalling out here. This person here having to push a vehicle through this flooding. Proof it's not a good idea to try to go through flooded roads like this. Several people have made it through successfully, but you can see this person not so much. They have started closing the floodgates here to try and ease this concern. We spoke with several people throughout New Orleans. It seems every person we spoke to not so concerned about this storm, but as you can see, there are some legitimate reasons to worry about this storm. It seems like the perfect storm. A city hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many businesses just getting a taste of reopening, now shuttered again. Several others already boarded up after preparing for large protests and fears of looting. But in the Big Easy, most locals seem to be taking Tropical Storm Cristobal easy like a Sunday morning.
I'm not worried about it at all. It doesn't have that gut feeling that it's just like a bad tropical storm, I think. I think that's it. It's just a tropical storm.
I figure maybe 6 hours worth of rain and then it's gonna blow over. Not too bad.
Some folks choosing to park on higher ground, but many others taking their chances. Overnight, a rare sight for a Saturday night in the French Quarter. Bourbon Street nearly completely empty.
Oh, this is kind of shocking. It's a complete ghost town.
except for a few tourists like Edward Trevino and Sherry Burgess from Texas.
We're not worried about it.
No, we're not. We're not worried about it.
How come?
I guess we're used to it. Yeah.
We're used to it. We've had it over there.
Actually, we've been through Ike. I lost a house.
A city with a history of harsh blows from the tropics, seemingly spared any major damage and living up to its name.
Taking it pretty easy. This is the Big Easy.
And if you're not from the region, you may be surprised to know that this is even still here. This is the site of the Hard Rock Hotel collapse going on a good several months now, and the site still looks the same pretty much from the day that it fell. Of course, authorities are watching it closely with tropical storm force winds, fearing that there could be a collapse causing further damage here, but so far no movement here at the collapse site. Reporting from New Orleans, I'm Court Snylander.
Man, looks a little wet there. Here is the view right now in South Haven. I guess I shouldn't laugh, you know, that tropical rain, it can be something. Here's the view right now in South Haven. Clear skies. I'm jealous of these people just parking their boats just south of South Pier there. It's a perfect evening to do that. The water temperatures, they're still in the 60s, so you can see a couple brave souls getting to about waist deep, but the green flag is flying today. A much lighter day on the lakeshore in terms of the wind, the waves, and it's also warmer relative to yesterday. 73 right now in South Haven, 79 in Allegan and Kalamazoo. We did officially make it into the low 80s in a few spots earlier on. So we continue to turn it up. Monday, Tuesday, the heat, humidity, it is back, especially on Tuesday. By Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a cold front knocks us back into much more comfortable conditions, but Wednesday comes with a catch. We could have some rain, some storms in our area, plus a lot of wind. So let's jump right in. So here's hour by hour. We'll stay completely clear tonight. By around 11 p.m., temperatures mid to upper 60s. And overnight tonight, we'll again dip into the mid to upper 50s, so probably cool enough where you can crack open those windows. By around lunchtime tomorrow, though, we're warmer, mid to upper 70s, and then 80s are back in full force, so mid to upper 80s possibly by tomorrow afternoon, and it will be sunny. Again, here is the latest on Tropical Storm Cristobal. You can see the tropical storm warnings. That's what you just saw, those conditions. That's what it looks like down there. A lot of heavy rain, some gusty winds. The max winds around the center of this low, around 50 miles per hour. But that is, again, secondary to the concerns of storm surge and flash flooding. It's moving to the north right now. It's going to start to turn northwestward in the coming days. Eventually, this is our hour-by-hour extended model, and then I've put on Cristobal's track, and by around 1 a.m. Tuesday, you can see it's in southern Missouri. By that time, it's a tropical depression. Eventually, what this becomes is something called a post-tropical cyclone, and what that means is basically it still kind of has the tropical characteristics, the humidity, the heavy rain, and it's just the remaining low-pressure center. You can see it's going to slide through Wisconsin to our west by Tuesday evening. We're going to be hot and humid ahead of this. It's pulling in that southwest or southeasterly flow ahead of it. And we see storms increasing in coverage late Tuesday and into Wednesday as the heavier rain stays off to our west. By Wednesday, a cold front swings through, kicking up additional showers and storms. But the bigger story there is going to be a drop in our temps and also wind taking over. It's tropical air Tuesday, showers and storms Tuesday evening through Wednesday, and then strong winds, gusts over 40 miles per hour possible. Just check this out. This is Tuesday at 10 p.m. Our model's hinting, and oftentimes these are overdone by computer models, but they're hinting at the potential for gusts over 40 miles per hour. That could do some, minor outages, things like that. It also will make for a busy day at the lakeshore. Lakeshore flooding and erosion are going to become, I think, very likely, especially Wednesday, and especially on some of our northernmost beaches like Muskegon, for example. Your Maple Lawn Group 7-day forecast, again, evening storms arriving Tuesday, then showers lingering throughout the day on Wednesday, and very windy, but then a gorgeous stretch of weather after that with some lower to mid 70s and sunshine. Callie, back to you.
Wow, well, this week looks pretty lovely. Thanks, Will. A teenager giving back to his community during a trying time. How people are rewarding him for his good deed.
Creative ways weddings are moving.
An 18-year-old in Buffalo, New York says he wants to help after seeing protests turn destructive last week. Antonio Gwynn says he left his house in the middle of the night to spend 10 hours cleaning his community. Now the community is giving back. Matt Block says he noticed Gwynn's act of kindness, so he gave him his 2004 red convertible Mustang.
The car he sent me a picture of was the same exact car that my mom first had got me. And it's the same color, same everything.
Wow. And an insurance company also stepped up. They are covering Antonio's insurance for 1 year. And that's not all. There's one more thing. Antonio says he was offered a full ride to a local college. He says he helped clean up the streets because it's something his late mom would have done. A decade-long tradition of community gardens continues in Flint. Although it is a little later than usual this year, Edible Flint hosted their annual Garden Kit Distribution Day this weekend. It's a month later than normal because of the COVID-19 pandemic. The kits provide everything a gardener needs to plant a vegetable garden as big as 25 feet by 25 feet.
11 different kinds of seeds. They're going to get 7 or 8 different kinds of transplants. We had a bonus amount of plants this year, so we've added a little bit extra to everybody's order.
Wow. Edible Garden says a community that is active in growing their own food is a key component of local food security in the face of this crisis. That is pretty awesome, Will. What a nice thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. And a great day to be out in the garden today. We were talking about that, I believe, this morning. Me and Hannah were. But temperatures really, really pleasant this afternoon. It's going to be noticeably different, though, in the next couple days. 87 tomorrow, 91 on Tuesday with some showers and storms, and then windy weather returning late Tuesday into Wednesday.
Wow, tomorrow does look beautiful. We'll see you back here at 11.
The backyard danger that could turn your fire